Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are at. I want to thank you for tuning into this episode of the Cali Truck Stop Theater. Hey, it's a nice, wonderful day today. You know, what is it? It's nice and bright outside, which you can see that it has some pretty decent light here. And I got my sunglasses and my hat on because it is rather bright outside, and I got the window partially closed so I can get the right amount of light up in here. But yeah, this I'm still in Missouri right now, and this is another video that I'm going to title the General Chronicles, and this is going to be the last one because I'm done with it. I really am done with it, and so I'm just gonna reflect on my time with you about being on the Dollar General account. And I'm saying that I'm done for real now because you know I don't want to come back. Well, they already told me that hey, we're looking at Monday as getting you transferred, but I don't want to be like be told, hey, well, we got another load for you. It's gonna be this thing here. And I'm like, nah. I already got my mind out of the mode of working on this account, and I'm actually pretty tired of this account really. And but I do want to say this. I do want to say that these are just my experiences, and my experience most likely or probably won't be your experience. You might have a different perspective um, about this account, about anything else. And this is the kind of mindset that you should have when you're looking at, let's say you're looking at different companies that you might want to go to, or maybe you're looking at a particular field of work that you might want to do. You got to have the mindset that you can go ahead and get information from people. You can go read up on the stuff, but just look at it as if that is their experience, okay? And think of it as something that maybe that you might experience it yourself. So you got to think of it as like this. Well, that was their experience, but if I'm still interested in this, well then I take their commentary or their experience with a grain of salt, meaning that there might be some things that I might need to know going into this, which is a whole lot better, than going in blinding, pretty much like I did. I didn't see. I don't think I really saw anything that any of the drivers were talking about in regards to this Dollar General account. So I didn't really know what to expect. My whole reason for going into the Dollar General account was mainly just to see what they were getting paid. Because I'm looking to get paid, or I'm looking to increase my earnings. And so I've heard that. I've heard that it that the Dollar General account typically pays a little bit more than than what I'm doing, and so um, that was one of the things that sparked me. It's like, well, I'm not really, I've heard of all the talk about, well, you got to unload the truck yourself, and there's and it's like super crazy unloading the truck, you know and for the most part that's true, but it seems to me that a lot of people were talking about it in the way of it's a lot of work, you know and I'm like, well, it is a lot of work, but the thing is that I'm not shying away from a lot of work, a lot of physical labor. I mean, I've done that quite a bit, Um, so it's not a surprise to me that it is, you know, physical labor, and yes, it is a lot of work. Um, but you know, I'm gonna try and, you know, I'm looking at this as in a different way, or I'm explaining it in a, I think, in a different way, because my experience with it, even though that it is you know, quite a bit of work, that is not what is, you know, causing me to be like, you know, hey, I'm done with this, you know, This is the big thing that I came across, that I didn't, you know, that I don't particularly like, is that, well, even though that you are able to, you know, make, you know, quite a bit of change, off of that, off of this account. Here's here's the way that I see things. You know, you're getting paid based upon, well, you're getting paid off of, the miles that you know, that you do. You're getting paid off of, um, you're getting paid by what do you call it, um, the trailers that you empty, you know. And so my thing is, okay, well, you're getting paid by those things, which means that time equals money, you know. And so you know, I've been dealing with the, you know, with the mileage thing, where, you know, sometimes you're just not going to get the miles in the day that you want because of weather or traffic, or, you know, you got the runny butt or something like that. You know, whatever the case may be. But the other thing, well, the one thing that does irritate me is the way that these trucks, or excuse me, these trailers have been loaded. Okay, and here lately, I haven't had to, well, the last few loads that I've had, they've been not loading all of the rolltainers to capacity. You know, which kind of bugs me, because you got all these, especially when it comes to these little boxes, you know, where I'm thinking, you know, about, I mean, little boxes about, you know, like this, you know, about like that, and smaller, you know. These rolltainers aren't getting filled to capacity, and they're not getting stacked properly to where you can fit all these an amazing amount of boxes inside these rolltainers, especially the ones that are just being filled halfway, and then you got all these boxes that are sitting all up on top of the rolltainers, that are, you know, further back, and then the ones that are up closer to the door, some of them are like, you know, barely even full. It's like, well, why you didn't just stack those into the rolltainers, you know, that kind of thing. So a lot of these little boxes, you know, and there's plenty of room, you know, there's still plenty of room to add extra rolltainers inside the trailer many times, so that you can consolidate all that extra loose box dunnage up there into a rolltainer. This is the thing that bothers me, is that when I'm going back there and I am taking the stuff out of this trailer. Now, in regards to the little boxes, instead of putting them in the rolltainers, they got them scattered all over the top. So when you go to pull out a rolltainer, all these little boxes and stuff come crashing down to the floor, because they're so stacked up high that you can't really reach up there and grab the stuff. They don't give you no step stools to get up there and pick the boxes down. And so you pretty much is just letting gravity bring the box down to you. So so you're there, and you pull out a rolltainer. If the boxes aren't intertwined with each other to where it makes it even more difficult for you to pull out a rolltainer, that also irritates the hell out of me too. This is time consuming stuff, which it really doesn't have to be time consuming. If you put everything in a rolltainer, or in these crates or whatever, you know, and then they can be easily stacked. Boom, boom, boom. Get it off the truck, bam, and then you off to the next place. But this is not how the Dollar General truckload works. So you pull out a rotator, and then you got all these boxes that come crashing down. And now once you pull out the rotainers, and you got let's say you pull out a couple of rotainers, and you get that delivered into the store pretty easily. Okay, now you got to come back and get the U-boats that they got them, or put together a rotainer, and then you got to go and pick up each one of these boxes and stack it up on the U-boat or the rotainer. Which to me is like, why am I having to do that when this stuff was done at the distribution center? I mean, pretty much my job, yes, it is to unload, but I feel like I'm having to restack the load every time that I pull out a rotator, and I got a waterfall of boxes and stuff crashing down behind me or around me or over the top of me, because they do fall over, they do come crashing down towards you, and so you gotta do your little matrix move there to block a lot of these boxes from crashing down on you. So that irritates me about this Dollar General account. So that's the stacking. Pretty much is the way that they stack all the stuff in the truck is a pain in the butt, because all that stuff that takes time right there. Not so much the rotainers themselves; everything's already packaged up in the rotainers. But when you got to go and you got to take these boxes and then you got to restack, or you got to create a whole new rotainer for these things, that kills your time. Which means that'd be less time for you to roll to get to your next place. That will eventually run out your time for your day's driving time for working. So that, and then if it's taking too long in the day to do something, it rolls into the next day. By the time you come back to the DC and actually complete the load, where it shouldn't be all that hard to to unload a trailer. I mean, if it's just pulling out rotainers, that should be pretty damn easy. But the work comes when everything is having to be rebuilt by you. And that does irritate me. Now the other thing is how these rotainers are built. Like I said, in a lot of the trailers that I've gotten, there has been plenty of room to add an additional 8 to 16 rotainers in the trailer. So using that extra space, I don't see why you couldn't just consolidate all those boxes. But then at the same time, you got some of these rotainers that are weighing 1,500 pounds plus, and it's full of liquids and dry bulk that is like heavy in mass. So the problem with that is that it's tough to maneuver around. Okay, it's tough to maneuver around, especially when they put it in a rotainer that is clearly jacked up and destroyed. It's like, how could you put this stuff in this rotainer when you can see before you even loaded the damn thing that this rotainer is not suitable for any kind of product? Nonetheless, some heavy ass products, it's not suitable for use anymore. I mean, you got the nets all busted up. They are all pretty much tied to the cage with the zip ties, and these zip ties often snap and break off. So and so you got rotainers that will have like, clearly you can see that the nets are damn near falling off the rotainer, but they still stack stuff in there and then throw that net up on there, and so like half the net is hanging off the thing, so that leaves at least half of the product that's in the rotainer susceptible to falling out of the rotainer because the net is not completely erected to where it's going to hold everything. So that's something else too. You start pulling out those rotainers, and you see that it's already jacked up, and you pull it out, and then all the product falls out of the rotainer. So now you gotta go and now you gotta go and restack the stuff. So these heavy ass rotainers, not a good not a good idea. I think um, having it filled with a bunch of heavy stuff in there. It's hard as hell trying to maneuver that thing when it's busted. You get the wheels on the damn thing busted off of there. It's getting stuck on every little piece of debris that's on the floor. So now you got to wrestle with that. They don't sweep out the trailers, so you're dealing with a dirty ass trailer, and the wheels are hitting every piece of debris there and stopping your momentum. So now you got to sit there and try and readjust the readjust the rotator to try and get it around something, which could potentially twist up your back and stuff like that. And if you happen to yank that rotator around somewhere, and because it hasn't been properly loaded properly, where it's, in many cases you got the lighter, delicate stuff on the bottom, and you got the heavy stuff on the top. Now it becomes top heavy. You go and yank that thing around, and the whole thing falls over because it's so top heavy. It falls over. Now everything's all over the all over the parking lot and stuff. So there again, you're picking up stuff if it's not done right. So now just think about that. Now this is where it becomes a lot of work. And this is where I think that it's not it's not really I would say not really a plus, as far as pay wise. I mean, yeah, you get a little, well, at least in my case, it was a little bit more in pay, but all the extra crap that you got to do, it doesn't really pan out, So that's the main thing, is that you're going to be doing a lot of bending, a lot of picking up stuff, a lot of rearranging stuff. You're going to be moving things 2 or 3 times just to get a certain thing moved out of the trailer, which is ridiculous to me. I don't like having to do certain things over and over again. There's certain things where you shouldn't have to do over and over again, or you shouldn't have to come back to that over and over again in order to accomplish some things. Yes, I understand that there are some things that require repetitiveness and stuff like that, but this is ridiculous. Okay, this is definitely ridiculous, and that in this situation, that's what I don't like. I think that they should pay even more for having to deal with things like that. I mean, you got to drive, but then yes, you got to. Sometimes you even got to wait. Sometimes you even got to wait until, let's say that you get the load early, and you can make it out today, but then maybe the store's not ready for you, and so you got to wait till the next day to offload. To my knowledge, I wasn't getting paid extra for having to wait. So, but you had to drive. You got to sometimes wait until the store's ready to take your load, and then you gotta sit there, and you gotta not only are you pulling out product, but now you gotta be the stocking clerk, pretty much, in the trailer. It's just a lot of picking up a bunch of stuff. So yeah, that's not great and grand. So now I have made yes, I have made complaints about that. I've sent messages, and I've even written on paperwork, that this load, even there's a macro in the on our Qualcomm to where we can, where we write out a little, or we fill out a little questionnaire thing, and then it has a section for comments. And I have said, many times that I've talked many times about the conditions that these trailers are in, and how much how much time consuming it is when it shouldn't have to be that way. I ain't never heard one peep back in response to, okay, well, we hear this, this and that, we'll go ahead and see what we can do about that. Hadn't heard one thing about it, right? And I've even talked about the rolltainers, the conditions the rolltainers are in. You get these things that are clearly trash, and they're still putting product in here, and so it's like it's difficult to maneuver these things because it's so busted up and broken. But then on top of that, when you get it going, then sometimes like say you hit a little dip or whatever, all the product falls out because the rolltainer is not up to par in keeping the stuff inside of the rolltainer. So there again, you're cleaning up a mess that shouldn't have been made in the first place, and that's taken away from your time to unload and get to the next stop. Don't hear a peep about it. Don't hear no response back. Like, we got your message. We'll look into it, or whatever. Don't even hear not near one thing, right? Now, I've said in my other videos in regards to Dollar General is that I've had an issue with the dispatch, constantly sending me messages about whether or not I'm picking up a load or not. When am I going to pick up a load, and this kind of thing. I find that irritating, because now you can look at the other videos that I have on that, where I go into detail about things. But I'm getting these messages asking me, okay, when are you going to go pick this up? When are you going to go pick that up? Pick it up from the lot. And the way that I've been working, the way that I have been working, prior to coming on here, it's like, okay, you get your trip information, which lets you know that the load is ready for you is available to pick up. So you look at your load information, you see when it's available, when it needs to be delivered, that kind of thing. And so then you go off of that, saying which can determine, or which determines the latest that you want to go and pick up your load, so that you can be able to make it on time over to your destination. That's the way that it always worked. Okay, so I got all my information. I know where I'm going, know when it's ready to be picked up, when it needs to be dropped off. Okay, I go on a trip plan, and I go on checking out the route that will be best for me to take. I look at where I'm going. Am I going through any major cities or anything like that? Okay, so maybe I should be prepared for maybe a little bit of extra time on the road, because traffic is heavy when I get to these cities or whatever. Are there any alternate routes that I can take? What's the weather looking like? All these different little details. You put this into account to determine when the latest is that you should pick up your load, and have enough time to take your load over to its destination. Now, me, I'll find the latest time that I can take it. But if I know that I'm able to drop it off early, then I will go ahead and grab that load as soon as possible, and be on the way with it. As soon as I get all the information, I will oftentimes take it and be on the way, and drop it off early, drop it off as soon as I'm able to. But if it's something where I gotta wait, let's say it's an appointment time or something like that, and I'm gonna have to wait, well, then I'll think about, okay, well, so what is the latest time that I should leave before, the latest time I should leave and make it over to my destination. So I mean that's how I've been working. It's like, well, it says that they're not going to be ready until tomorrow to pick it up. So this is just an example. I'm like, well, so I got the load at like 7 o'clock in the morning. It's showing that it's ready because I got the load information, and so but it's not. It won't. It's saying that the delivery time is for the next day, um, in the morning. So it's pretty much a 24-hour period that I would wait. So I'm like, well, here's the thing. I know that I can go and stay at the store overnight. So what I would do is, because it's early in the morning, I'll just go. I'll pre-trip. I'll pre-trip my vehicle. I will plan out a route to take, and I'll wait till, let's say maybe, depending on how long it takes to drive there. Okay, well, I'll wait till maybe about 3 o'clock in the afternoon to go and pick up the load. Well, you go pick up the load, and then you drive, and then that about 8 o'clock at night you're gonna be making it to the store. So I'm like, cool. I'll just do that. I'll wait till later on in the day. I'll go ahead and drive, get there by 8 o'clock. I can shut down, and then in the morning I can get up and I can start my day, and I'm already there. I'm not using my drive time for anything. I'm already there, so all I gotta do is just send a message on the Qualcomm saying that unloading has started, and I get to work when the store opens up, And so I'm working and working and working. So now, because I haven't used my drive time or anything like that, my clock ain't running. So even though I am working on unloading the load as fast as I can, I'm not so worried about, okay, well, I'm going to lose out on drive time because my clock is running. That ain't really the case. So once I'm done, then I start up my clock, drive over to my next little place. Now I got my whole 11 14 hour clock and stuff like that. So that's just a quick rundown of how on how I run. Well, after getting so many of these messages, hey, when are you gonna pick this up? When are you gonna do this? And then having at one time to switch my load on me, because I didn't tell them when I was gonna come. I was gonna come pick it up, but I did tell them. I said, hey, I'm available, just so that they can set me up with the load. But I got removed off of a load because I didn't respond to the message fast enough, saying when I was going to go pick up the load and stuff. So I asked one time. I says, I'm getting all these messages about when I'm going to pick up a load. Why is that the case? When oftentimes I'm getting a load and then getting switched off of it. And it's like, it's not due to the next day anyway. So why is it that that I'm getting switched off and all this kind of stuff? And they were saying something like, well, these some of these loads are like, they're like push loads and things like that. I'm like, well, what are you pushing? You got the load date set up for the next day. I mean, it's something different when the load date is like the same day or something like that, or something that needs to get out ASAP. And so I'm like, hey, I was being respectful and stuff like that, but I'm like, this is how I work. But if it's something that I need to change, then let me know, so that I'll know next time. But don't give me a load, and then after I've done all the prepping for it, then you go ahead and change the plans on me. I don't like that. So after that, I ain't heard not one. I ain't heard nobody ask me, well, when am I gonna come pick up a load, this and that, which is good. I don't want to feel like I'm being micromanaged. It's like, look, just give me my job, okay? You've already told me what I need to do. I need to drive and unload. Get to my stop on time, and unload. Okay, Cool. I know what I'm doing. Now let me work out the fine details on that. I don't need to be micromanaged about, I don't need you to be on me all the time like, hey, when you going to do this? When you going to do that? I just know that I got it. Okay? When you allow me to when you allow me to get into my groove and figure things out, it works. Okay? And if it's something that I'm not able to work out, if I'm having difficulty trying to work something out, I'll reach out to you. But because I know that you are supposed to be busy, you're supposed to be busy with other things. At least that's the message that comes across. It's like, hey, I ain't got time for all this and all that. So I'm like, okay, you're busy, no problem. I'll go ahead and I'll try to figure this stuff out myself. If I really, really need you, I'll reach out to you. But other than that, you just keep them loads coming. Give me the proper details, and I'll figure everything else out. And you ain't got to worry about whether or not if I'm going to make it to someplace or not. Don't worry. You don't have to worry about that. Just know that you give me everything that I need to run and operate. I'll get it out there to where it needs to go. Okay? And that's just the way that I feel about it. I don't think that I need to be told how to do things all the time. I'm not saying that I know everything, but sometimes I can figure stuff out that works. Okay, it might not be the way that you do things, but I try to figure something else. I try to figure something out that does work. And many times, what somebody else has already planned out, or the way the work works is already planned out. Sometimes that does work, and so I can use that. But when you give me a task and I'm left to to work out the details on it, let me do that. Just let me go. If I start slacking off somewhere, I can understand why you'd be asking me, when I'm gonna do this, when I'm gonna do that. But if I don't give you a reason to do so, why do that? Anyways, that's just me. That's just me and my rant. I'm getting away from what I'm supposed to be talking to you about. But these are just my experiences. This is just how I work. Okay, and so that that's kind of a irritant to me. So with the way that the rotators and stuff is operating, the loads are the minor annoyances from the dispatch, very minor. These are things. Now, the other thing is that just recently I got a message. Well, it was a message that went, fleet wide, with the Dollar General, and the message was something to the effect of, the Dollar General loads are coming out with the chairs and stuff like that, and to distribute to the different stores so they can sell the chairs. It's spring and about to be summer, and so they're cranking out a bunch of the seasonal items, such as like pools and the styrofoam noodles and barbecue grills and stuff like that. All these seasonal things, they're cranking out in these loads, and so this message this message irritated me too, and you'll see why in just a moment. But the message was pretty much they wanted us to be tattletaling on the people that are loading the trailers. If we get loads where they're using the chairs as containers, they're putting product in the seats of the chairs. They want to know all this information. Give us the trailer number, the load for the number for the store, some other things, so that we can go and address this to the Dollar General. because they're loading stuff. At least that's the way that it seemed to me, is that they're wanting me to tattletale on the loaders at the distribution center. If I see chairs that are being used as containers, I kind of chuckled at it, because in my mind I'm thinking, so you want me to tell you that they're using these chairs as containers or rolltainers for product, but yet, and you're talking about you're gonna send these up to Dollar General for complaints, and yet I've been talking to you about more serious things than somebody using a damn chair as a rolltainer. How about the many messages that I've sent to you about these yard drivers dropping the trailers off, with the trailers sitting so damn high on the landing gear, so that you pull in, you pull up to the trailer, and let's just say you're thinking that, okay, it's level up with your truck to where you can just pull up under it and lock in. Come to find out that you've overshot the kingpin, because the trailer is lifted up so high. And so now look at this. I don't know why they lift these damn trailers, the landing gear, up so damn high on these trailers, when these yard trucks have their fifth wheel is on a lift, so they can adjust their fifth wheel up and down. And I see why they have it. It makes it so much easier for them to just pull up under their the trailer, and then they get out the little cab there, hook up the air hoses, and then they use the lift on the fifth wheel platform. They use the lift to raise the whole trailer up, so that they're not out there cranking the landing gear up and down, to transport the trailer from one of the parking spaces to the dock. Okay, they have that. In my mind, there's no need for you to go and crank up the landing gear. When you got that platform, why do you need to crank down the landing gear? So this is the thing. When they take it from the distribution door and then put it back out there on the slot, they have the landing gear all cranked down all the way to max capacity, I think, and it's fully loaded. And because they got that lift on their fifth wheel, they can lift up the trailer and then drive it on out to the parking space, and then they lower their lift, boom, and drop the trailer right there, and boom, boom, take off, right? So when we as a driver goes and gets up under the trailer, if you're not paying attention, you roll right past your fifth wheel, rolls right past or just under the kingpin of the trailer. And so you got the kingpin and you got your fifth wheel. It rolls right under the top of that kingpin, and then once your fifth wheel goes past that kingpin, your fifth wheel has a little swivel on it, so it goes past the kingpin, and then the fifth wheel plops down like that, and now you got your kingpin sitting behind the fifth wheel plate. So you try to pull forward, and boom, you're stuck. You can't go nowhere. You can't go nowhere. So it's like, well, how the hell do I get up out of this situation? If I go backwards, I'm going to run right into the trailer, but then I can't go forward to get rid of, or to get out from under it, right? So now you're stuck in a situation to where you have to figure out how to tilt that fifth wheel back the other way and keep it there, so that you can get the kingpin to go over the top of the plate and get yourself unhooked. That takes time, you know. And then on top of that, if and when you manage to do that, now you have to go and you have to crank down the landing gear, or crank it up actually, to lower the trailer. And the problem is that with the fully loaded trailer, sometimes it is hard as hell to lower that trailer. You know, it's hard as hell to drop that trailer. So it wears on your body. Now, if you're not paying attention to how you're doing the stuff, you could hurt your body. So, but my thinking is, why get yourself put in a situation like that when you should have it already? You should already have it down to a normal height, so that nobody's having to do all this mess, right? So I've complained about that. I'm like, hey, get these yard guys to stop cranking up these landing gears so damn high. You know, drivers are having a difficult time with a fully loaded trailer trying to get the landing gear to lower, so that they can hook up to their trailer. Okay. On top of that, you know, I haven't damaged my truck as of yet, thank God. But you can damage your truck from backing up under these trailers, and you missing the kingpin. So that was a problem. I ain't hear not one word about, hey, well, you know, I hear you. You know, I'll let somebody know about it. Didn't hear not one thing, and I've sent messages on top of message about that. You know, nothing. What was the other one? Oh yeah, and then talking about what I was talking about previously about the way that the loads are being constructed in the trailer. I ain't heard nothing about those either. It's like nobody's ever heard, or it's like nobody ever got the messages. So in my way of thinking, I'm like, why is it that I'm gonna tell I'm gonna tell on them about them using a chair, but if I tell you about them doing this doing this to where I got to deal with something that could possibly hurt me, you don't say nothing about it. I can care less about a chair being used as a rotator. If it gets destroyed, oh well, you get another. You can just go ahead and just order another one, and it can get sent out. And it's not like the stuff like this chair and stuff is gonna be. It's not like it's a hot item in the first place, because you know, when you got this COVID-19 stuff going on, who's out there having barbecues? Who's out there? Who's gonna enjoy? Who's going to enjoy the patio furniture, you know, when you're being told to keep your butt inside the house. Now, I think it's a bit extreme to stay in the house all the time. I mean, I think that you can at least go out in your backyard or whatever, but you're going to have people that are just not going to be, that's not on their mind. They're not out there they're not out there working, they're not out there buying patio furniture. Everybody's buying up you know, hand sanitizer and toilet paper and Lysol wipes and stuff like that. They ain't worried about no damn chair, you know. But nonetheless, why is it you worried about a chair? And you're not saying, hey, if you get a load that's messed up, let us know so that we can address the Dollar General. Because you got, oftentimes you have fragile and heavy stuff sitting up on top of the rolltainers instead of being inside of a rolltainer. The fragile stuff is, you know, being inside of a rolltainer. And so you go and you try to start moving stuff, and you got things that are coming down towards you, you know, like crashing all around you and stuff like that. And sometimes these heavy items are coming down towards you, and you got to dodge and watch and make sure that none of this heavy stuff falls down on top of you, because it can injure you. But as far as the fragile stuff, you know, like bags of chips and the coffee and stuff like that, a lot of the times you're going to have some heavy stuff sitting on top of these containers and boxes, and when it all comes crashing down, guess what? Your chips is all smashed up, your coffee containers is all busted up, and the coffee and the creamer and stuff like that is all, you know, falling out of the container. So now the store has got to go and damage out these items. So, you know, I don't get the logic in this. You should be more worried about your people getting hurt. You should be more worried about the product, the product that people need the most getting getting damaged, and not some damn chair. This is what I would tell on the distribution center about is the things that are dangerous to me. A damn chair, you can always just get yourself another chair, but you can't always get yourself another employee exactly the way that this employee is. Okay, so so I'll tell you one thing. I'm not gonna have no hard feelings, no guilty thoughts about this one way or another. I pull stuff down. I let it hit the floor. I don't care because I'm not gonna sit there and try to catch everything. I'm not gonna let stuff fall on top of me. It shouldn't be up there in the first place. Okay, it shouldn't be up there in the first place. And it should all be properly put away. Like I said, there's oftentimes still quite a bit of space in the back of these trailers to add another 8 to 16 more rotainers. So adding those, it shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't be a problem with putting those things in a rotainer and stuff like that. Now, the rotainers themselves, like I said, a lot of them are in bad shape. They need to either repair them or get rid of them and get brand new ones. Now, I know Dollar General is selling a bunch of cheap crap, and what have you. But when you got these rotainers and stuff, this is something that you're going to have to invest in order to keep your product and your people in good operating order. Okay, so you're wasting quite a bit. You're losing quite a bit of money, and it's wasteful. You're losing and you're wasting quite a bit of money on product that's been damaged because the rotainers aren't up to par. So you're losing a lot of money that way. You're also going to be losing a lot of money in the form of employees getting injured and workman comp and all that kind of stuff. You're instead of spending all that money on that kind of stuff, you should spend it into things to keep your employees and your product as safe as possible. But I don't know. Maybe I don't have that kind of a business mindset to where maybe it's more profitable to have the stuff like that in the first place. I don't know. I know one thing that there's things in business that are just so damn screwy. You don't understand how the hell this stuff works, because in your reality it would never work. It would never work in your in your world. So I don't know. I don't know how that works in the business world. Maybe it's more profitable to pay out for damaged product or to pay out for injured workers and stuff like that. But me, I'm not into all that. So I think now the rotainers need to be properly maintained, and also them damn straps that are used to hold the product in the truck. Them damn things are so old. It's like, yo, you need to invest in some better stuff than that. I'm tired of having to struggle with those things, because a lot of times them things are not they're either like too hard to work with, like they're all rusted out. You'll find every once in a while some good working straps and stuff, but most of them is all worn out. The belts themselves, the straps themselves, they're frayed and they're about ready to snap in the first place. But the coupling mechanisms and the crank and stuff like that, they're all rusted out and not in good working order and stuff like that. So so these things either need to get repaired or replaced, but they're not really doing all that. And so you're coming up with these things failing a lot of times, because all the weight that's back there, and you start shifting and stuff like that. It sometimes breaks them things apart. Sometimes these people are not strapping the stuff down hard enough to where it'll hold everything. So them things I've told them about that. I ain't heard nothing about that. What else? What else? There's something else. Now, I haven't had too many issues with the trailers themselves. For the most part, the trailers are pretty usable. You know, I may have had a couple of problems with the lift, but wasn't anything really bad about them. Just a couple little tweaks here, and it's operating again. You know, so the trailer itself, they've been pretty good to me. You know, so it's that's just the way that I'm thinking. It's like you got all these different things that need to be addressed, and the thing that you're gonna come to me about is about a damn chair that don't compute right with me. Now the other thing is that after working on this thing, I kind of developed a painful situation with my right hand, and this is the thing. Now, I'm gonna have to go and get it checked out, see what the heck is wrong with it, and see if there's anything that I can do to fix it. And so when I extend my arm out, like let's say I'm gonna go pick up something, or even have something in my hand. I don't know if you can see it very well, but I often get pain right here in my palm, right up in here. Okay, and I don't know if it has to deal with if muscles or whatever in my forearm here, or ligaments or whatever is to blame for that. It's probably pulling on something up in here, because I noticed that when I'm grabbing onto stuff, or the rotators, when I was grabbing onto these heavy rotators, right, and I'm having to steer. A lot of times I'm using this arm to steer and stuff like that, right? And so I'm developing, and I noticed that up in here, I don't really feel too much of a, I really don't feel anything up in here in the way of pain, but I know that this forearm muscle here does pull on the wrist area up here, right? So I don't know if that's carpal tunnel syndrome or whatever, but nonetheless, I've never had pains in my hands and my wrist before, especially when I'm extending and then trying to grab something. It's like right up in here. That's where I feel it, right up under the thumb, and about down to where just above to where the wrist is. But it's basically in the palm of my hand. So I need to go and get that. I need to go and get that checked out, and see what can we do to get fixed on that. Now, I think there was something else. Oh, yes. Now, here's something else, and I think this is one of the most important things, is that when you're on this account, neither Dollar General or even Warner will supply you with any kind of safety equipment. That's all footed on. That's something that you have to foot. You're going to do wear and tear on your own body, but nobody's going to foot the bill on making sure that you stay safe. I find that very bad. I mean, especially having stuff like wrist support, maybe some elbow support, maybe safety glasses, and maybe a hat, or even a vest, but also I think that steel-toe boots are necessary for this type of work, in case something falls down on your feet, or you kick something, that kind of stuff. I think that at least the gloves and at least the gloves and the boots, that should be mandatory. That somebody foots that bill for you. They came to you asking you to help them, but they ain't gonna be footing the bill for this stuff, so that you don't hurt yourself. Back brace. You know, when you're having to do a bunch of heavy lifting and you know, about bending down, all that kind of stuff, they don't even supply it with a back brace. So I think that the gloves, the back brace, and the steel toe boots is something that somebody should be supplying for you, because they're asking you to help them out and to keep you safe, so that they don't have to pay out any workman compensation stuff like that. I would think that would be a good investment, is to supply this stuff for people so that they don't get hurt. But there again, I must not have that kind of business mentality. It must be more profitable to let people go without that kind of equipment. So anyways, this is pretty much my experience with the Dollar General Distribution Center in Fulton, Missouri. Okay, now this might not be the same. You might not experience the same things at the other locations. Maybe you will. I don't know. But this has been my experience. So I pretty much recorded this just so that you can get an idea of what I've noticed. Now, like I said before, this might not, you know, a lot of the stuff might not pertain to you, might not come across in your experiences. But at least it's something that you do know now that you've watched this video, and I'm giving it to you as truthfully and as knowledgeably as I know of. I don't know everything, but what I do know, I'm sharing with you, so that you can make better decisions on whether or not you think that it's a good fit for you. So here's the thing: if you don't think that you can handle physical labor, don't do it. I'll tell you right now, don't do it, because this is a physically demanding job. Okay, yeah, you're driving. All you're doing is just sitting behind the wheel, making sure the truck's going with the road. There's nothing really physically demanding about that. Driving is more of a mental thing. Okay, but getting out here unloading these trailers ain't no joke. It is physical. It's not that everything's like really super heavy. It's just the repetitive bending down, picking up, moving things around. That's what's repetitive. Yes, the rotators are pretty heavy, but if it's properly maintained and it's on wheels and stuff like that, it should be relatively easy to get it on out there. It's just repetitious. It's a bunch of repetitious work. That's what makes it so physically demanding. So now, before I go, the last thing is about the pay. For me, I don't think that it is going to, it doesn't fit my idea of making extra money. Because when I get my paychecks, I'll say this: when I get my paychecks, even though I was getting paid more, I was still bringing home about the same amount of money that I was normally making with my regular account, the 48 states. So like this last check that I just came out with, I got paid a little bit over $1,500 gross on this check. And you're like, oh yeah, that sounds pretty good. Well, it's not so good when about $400 to almost $500 of that goes to taxes and deductions, such as like health insurance and stuff like that. But even with my regular deductions, the regular deductions such as like health and all that kind of stuff, dental and stuff, it's still about 50 something dollars. That's all of my deductions. But the big thing is the taxes that I'm paying in federal, mostly federal, federal tax, Medicare, Social Security, and even state tax. And me being a resident of Oregon right now, you know, Oregon come out with some last year. They came out with some. I think it was last year, either last year or the year before. They came out with some stupid new tax to help or to aid in redoing the roads in Oregon. So there's well, not just the roads, but transportation in general, to get things rolling there in the transportation, which is, it's another damn tax, and even though they say, oh, well, it's just 1% or 1% of what you make, I'm like, dude, really? It don't look like no damn 1% or 1%. So, anyways, for me, it's not beneficial to me, because if I'm bringing home the same amount of money that I was making doing 48 states, then it ain't no benefit to me. I'm just working and wearing my body out to pay more in taxes and stuff like that. So for me, nah, I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it. I would say that they would need to pay me more. So I don't recommend it. And I'm sorry, that's just my opinion. But you gather all the information that you need, and you decide whether it would be a good fit for you. But for me, nah. So I hope that did help you out, and I will talk to you again.